To the 20, and he's gone! Touchdown! Easton Sadinsky! The Bulldogs get the football! Unbelievable! There goes Terry! Touchdown, Grandville! Pressure coming, down he goes! Wyman busting through! The junior shot out of a cannon! Jump pass, caught Connolly! He's got the speed! He had 2 returns last year against Caledonia! Easton Sadinsky! Touchdown! Grandville! Dawgs back on top! Brings the pressure, and down he goes! It's Braylon Haney on the sack. Shut down. Reed Graverson and Garrett Naraki. So to Jaden Terry again. Easy touchdown. Jaden with his second of the night.
Welcome to MGN on Michigan Sports Radio.
And welcome back, everyone. Dawgs Plus for another week. Nate Dreyer, Chandler Timmer. We are here. We got a lot to talk about, as well as it is Rockford week. As always, follow us on social media at MI Game Night everywhere. Thanks to the Bennett Center Farmers Insurance Agency for presenting everything that we do. Very exciting show we're going to get to in just a second, but Daniel Wylie, Bulldogs' second-year captain, he ran up to me after the scrimmage and said, I want to come in studio to do the interview. I'm like, that's insane, but I love it. Yeah. So he came out here yesterday and had a great interview that you're all about to see in a second. So that was really awesome to host him here in person and go over a little bit of everything with this season and with everything. Mm-hmm. But it's going to be a little bit of a different week. We'll get into what that coverage is going to look like in a second. But CT, welcome to the program. It's Rockford week.
It is, yeah. It's a big one. This is one you always have circled on the calendar for sure. And just looking forward to a different way to maybe be a part of the broadcast and bring some coverage to the game this week, but a lot to cover about the game that we just were at as well. So yeah, some of the good, some of the bad, and we'll get into that.
Unfortunately, we are recording this Monday night, and I'm going to post Tuesday, and we do not have news. So if you're coming to us thinking, oh, Nate and Chandler, we don't have news. And I think we're going to leave that to the team and whatever to break further, kind of based on what the long-term prognosis with Jaden is. We don't need to sound like we're hiding what happened. Right. So obviously, hoping for the best on all of that heading into this week. So here's what's happening this weekend. So as normal, Rockford broadcasts. The one thing we have on our contract with MSR, we get to do pretty much whatever we want. I do a ton of behind-the-scenes work for him, like whatever. Is that Rockford, Brock, his own company, Brock essentially pioneered doing internet radio of high school sports back in like 2005. Yeah. Like, no one on rosters were alive when he was starting doing Rams radio. But he gets the Rockford games, period. That's just what the rule is. And, I was joking to you before the show. It's several $1,000s between pay for the stuff we do and stream fees and whatever. It's a great deal and partnership that we have in great reach with MSR. So it would take a lot to buy us out of that. So we're going to continue to not do Rockford games. But we decided that we wanted to be there this Friday.
Yes.
So here's what we're going to do. It's an idea we've had for a couple years brewing. We're gonna fully execute on it. So if you watched our scrimmage live show, you weren't there. But if you watch that, I'm going to have to figure out how to set this up for 2 people.
Okay.
We're going to be in that kind of, the plan is probably similar position there, maybe more field side something we're going to figure out in the concourse. And we're going to do kind of a college game day-y type thing. We're going to go for Michigan Sports. It's a Michigan Sports Radio branded show. We're going to go over every MSR game, pick, preview. Might have some interviews, some different things going on with that as well, because I know there's the blood battle going on with Grandville Rockford, so I think we're going to have, because they're one of our sponsors at MSR, so we're going to have a tie with Versiti on that as well. So there's going to be some things that we're working on right now, so keep an eye out. But 6 o'clock to 6:30 is the plan, half-hour show, pick everything. We'll pick this game last. I can't ever imagine who I'm going to pick for this game.
It's a toss-up.
It's a toss-up. So that's what we're going to do that night. And then we're going to get to, I think I might be on the halftime show with Brock, but then we're just going to be like Matthew McConaughey for Texas, like director of morale or whatever he is. We're just going to be on the sidelines watching the game. Yep. So we'll probably be less involved than what he is. So yeah, isn't there another actor that's with him on the Texas sidelines too?
Oh yeah, it seems like there is. I don't.
Who is it? The one guy I just saw him this past weekend. I'm not a. What's his name? Glenn Powell.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, I saw him because he was doing something this past weekend.
Okay.
So that's going to be us.
We're pretty much of similar stature.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Which one's which?
We can decide that later.
We'll decide that later.
Are we bringing out cowboy hats? I mean, it doesn't really fit for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, right. So that's what we'll be on the sideline and be able to watch a Grandville game for the first time against Rockford. And first time I've ever watched a Grandville football game and not talked about it.
Right.
So that'll be fun. That's what we're going to be doing. So make sure you tune in 6 o'clock to that. And then Brock goes on the air at 6:40, I think, is their broadcast. So make sure you tune in to all of that. All right, that's all that's going on, I think. Did I miss anything? I don't think so.
That was it.
Let's go to Daniel Wylie now. So he came in the studio, so let's send it to the same studio. Chandler's going to get a little bit bigger, and we're gonna do that interview with Daniel. It was a great interview. Let's get right to it. And hello, everyone. Welcome back into Game Night here, and Game Night on Michigan Sports Radio. And Captain's Corner this week, we have a first. Someone's taken Chandler's seat here along with me. Daniel Wylie, 3-year starter for the Bulldogs. Plays both ways, of course, and the lockdown anchor on the right side of that offensive line has decided to come to studio for whatever reason here. First off, how are you doing today? And thanks for making the trip down to the MGN World Headquarters here.
I'm doing great. I just wanted to start off by saying, I said this last year, but you guys seriously do a great job, and we really appreciate everything you do for us.
Thanks. Listen, I was actually thinking about that more too, because the thing about Grandville is it isn't just us. Like the way that this team is covered, like when you think about the amount, and I don't want to even start listing them because there's so many, but like the amount of people that are doing such cool work with photography. Of course, like Haley Haney doing her stuff on the videography. Snooze is there every game with highlights and stuff. Like it's a cool thing to be a part of because this team is so well covered, and it's I certainly don't want to take all of that, shine. We put a lot of effort into it, but there's a lot of people that it's been cool to kind of work with them and whatever. So it's been fun to be a part of Grandville, and of course it's always fun when you guys are rolling and winning, which you're able to do. Last Friday, made the trip out to Caledonia. Let's kind of break that game down a little bit. Let's start though the importance of stacking OK Red wins. I mean, we know this conference is so tough. We know it's so difficult to make the playoffs in Division I. But how important is it just to go in there, get just kind of a little bit of a grimy road win, lean on the defense, and win the way you guys did?
It started with a great week of practice. Stiegel was on edge all week and just trying to get us to stack days and just be the best versions of ourselves that we can. He's always big on that, and just that emphasis for us takes us to the next level and gets us to play from game to game.
Yeah, and you guys, so for you, play both sides of the football. So let's talk about both sides a little bit. Let's look at the offense. This is something we talked about on the broadcast, on the show, the last couple of weeks as well. The offense has been a little bit different this year. You have the game against Muskegon that you guys just light up the scoreboard, but then the last 3 weeks really showing an ability, kind of old school Grandville, sitting on the football a little bit in that second half, just taking all the air out of the basketball. How much do you guys kind of delight as a team in just being able to physically be able to grind down the defense and really run the ball and control the game the way you guys have?
Well, Coach Stiegel says it best. 3 yards of carry is all we need. Going first down, second down, third down, fourth down every time. Like that'll wear a team out, and that's kind of what we take pride in as our team and as like our offense. The power T. We're gonna try to run the ball down your throat, and if we can't, then we'll throw it over your head too. We pass the ball too. So and that's something we take a lot of pride in, and we practice really hard so that we're able to do that.
The power tee that Coach Stiegel is starting to legitimately mix in some wing tee now, just to answer back to my long-held claims of like it's a power tee, and then all of a sudden he just runs out and I'm like, oh, there's a tight end there, that's a wing tee. Of course he's doing that. Defensive side of the ball, strongest performance of the year for you guys. Again, against a team that's got a lot of talent. I mean, that essentially you gave up one bad play the whole game. You had that Schultz end around to start the game after that completely locked down an offense that, again, they're on a backup quarterback, but they can move the football still. They showed that the first couple weeks of the year. Where's the confidence at on the defensive side of the ball? Coming off that performance, good performance the week before as well, and starting to gain that foothold and figure out what the system's going to be.
I'll start off by saying we did a lot of up-downs at practice this week. Just a gritty kind of I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. Just authentic energy from Zenner, and just
I don't think he has anything that isn't authentic energy.
But anyway, just like we ran a bunch. Just that Grandville grit. Bring brung into practice, and just we live it every day. That's all I can really say. Like,
yeah, no, I mean, we saw it for sure, and I think, I think Garrett in the interview last week, he talked a little bit about this team, and you guys play with an edge on the defensive side of the ball, and you're willing. Coach Zenner's been willing to kind of take some risks, send some guys, get to the quarterback. He certainly did that all game long. The other element with the game, of course, first quarter, first drive of the game, Jaden Terry suffers that injury at the end of that first drive. You then give up the score right away to Caledonia. Take us inside the team, the leadership, what you guys were able to do to help refocus the team coming off of that, because definitely looks like things a little shaken up right there, and then you guys locked in after.
We just have that next guy mentality. We're the Bulldogs, we're dogs. We have those guys, and we really have the confidence in those guys that they're going to step up and make plays just like anybody else. Oren played a really big role. He's a little bit quiet at practice, but I know that he'll always give 100%. Guys like DJ too, he played a great game. I mean, Braylon, freaking bowling ball, dude. That dude is legit. Like, everyone I just have so much confidence in, and it's just a great feeling that I know like someone can step up and I have full confidence. Like, it's just so comforting.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, the way that team, it's a different mix at running back when Jaden goes down, but it works. I mean, you just kind of actually answered what my next question was going to be, laying out those guys. I mean, DJ moving to running back, just running through people with speed as well. Oren is that old school Grandville speed fullback. He's going to break a couple of those trap plays coming up here. You know that, and Braylon's Braylon, back-to-back 100 plus. He's been our player of the game for back-to-back weeks now. And he's starting to find that, he was bottled up the first 2 weeks, and he has now started to kind of get his offensive game going. So I think the whole offense, not even getting into the pass game and some of the wrinkles that are there, is coming along. The other element with this team, and I asked Garrett about this last week, but I'm going to ask you too, how much does it help as a leader and as a player to have so many guys that are 3 and 4 year starters alongside you? I mean, this entire captain group plus 3, 4, 5 other guys have been with you for 3 years. You've been through the wars. You've won and lost together. How much does that help leading this team?
I mean, it's great, blocking with Garrett and blocking with Lincoln last year. It's great, like, because we can set that example for those guys to be that. And our motto this year was know the standard. And we kind of set that standard for those guys to, like, work harder. And, you can't really replicate varsity experience, especially in the OK Red. But I feel like all the stuff in the winter and then in the summer just kind of prepared us for that. And then when we got to go out and perform it just made it even better.
Yeah. Sorry, but that leads right to my next question. Where have you seen the juniors, the sophomores as well, a guy like Oren, where have you kind of seen them already growing, stepping up, coming off? I mean, again, such a tough schedule. How much do you think that tough schedule, the early starts, helped them? Where have you started to see them slot into place now? Well,
from an O-line standpoint, Gavin Peters, who is next to me, guard, he didn't play guard before, and he had to step into that role. I know I kind of saw myself in him a little bit when I stepped in at guard my sophomore year, and he's taken huge steps. Oren, obviously, Motzke on the defensive side of the ball, he's a beast, gets knocked back so much. When we have guys like me, Bray, Garrett, JB, like Blinken, Matt Key, obviously stepping up last year, and Tank, Bray, just all those guys. Like, we get to, again, set that standard and just follow through with it, make sure they're not slacking, and then vice versa, they'll make sure we're not slacking at practice too.
Yeah, for sure. You just, once again, go right into something else I was going to ask about, the difficulty of changing positions every year on the offensive line. You went from a guard to a left tackle, now you've moved across to the other side. Tell us about that mental and physical game to year after year be able to make those changes. We know how tough offensive line, how smart you have to be on the O-line, but how tough has that been to do that, every year? You've excelled at it, but how tough has that been to do that every year?
It's been a challenge, going from pulling every play, like, sometimes Tank would hit the hole before me, but, just it's such a thing to learn, and to be there and to experience, especially at the varsity level. It's just, it was never hard, but I kind of wanted it to not be easy, know? And just, I feel like that says a lot about our team too. Like, Stiegel has a lot of faith in us, like, and from DJ too. He was more of a 4-back last year, but now he's like running the ball more, and just having faith in the guys and putting good days of practice together. That's all it takes, really.
Yeah, tell us more about playing for Coach Stiegel and the staff. I mean, you talked on Casey a little bit ago, who is a crazy person and in the right way, but a little bit different demeanor with Coach Stiegel. What is it like to be able to play for him? How great has that been to learn and develop under Coach Stiegel and the whole staff?
I feel like that energy from Zenner has been brought to light in Stiegel. Sometimes I'll hear Zenner say some crazy stuff, and I'll look over at Stiegel and he's just smiling but to have a coach that really cares about us and wants the best for us, wants success, and just he emphasizes every week, like I'm emphasizing right now, like we have to stack days and we have to stack wins. Every game in the OK Red is going to be a tough game. There's no guarantees. Yeah. So just taking the step to that win is that's what it takes.
Yeah, and it's only made that much harder when you have airbags like us coming on here telling you how great you are every week, and looking ahead while the coaching staff is what's Coach Saban's term, the rat poison.
Yeah,
that's us.
Yeah.
So you have to do all you can to ignore us every single week. Actually, honestly, I should block all the players from actually watching the show.
Absolutely not.
This is only a community show. We're going to have to start, my other thought is, we're just going to completely start just lying on here. And then we'll just, completely give bad information. So here's the deal, Rockford. They're running a spread this year. Just trust me. They're going to throw it 45 times a game. Just listen to me. We'll talk about Rockford in a bit, by the way. Yeah. That's why, of course, you came on this week. Perfect, because it's a big one. This week. This offseason, we talked about the position change you had to make and all that. What were some of the big things on both sides of the ball that you really worked on this offseason heading into 2025 to improve?
Leverage is something Coach Zenner is huge on. Just getting off the ball low with hands and just taking that next step. You can do something average all the time and you can be average, but he is so detail oriented and just everything you do has to be done with intent, or else you're not going to succeed. And that's something we've had to own.
Yeah. Where do you think you've grown, kind of on the other side of that, where do you think you've grown as a leader? I mean, you're a 2-year captain, which we don't see very often with this program. So clearly we know there's leadership there, but you're a 2-year captain, 3-year player. Where do you feel like you've grown as a leader the most in the last couple years?
So being a junior captain last year and being with those guys that Cam Bruker, Easton, all the guys, for 2 years, I kind of had to reevaluate. And when I was bringing up that junior class, just getting those guys together in the weight room and trying to bond as much as I could with them was a challenge. But I found myself really enjoying that because I got to make new friends. I got to be that leader role again, but in a different way. When I would give Cam Bruker and Easton and all those Coobs and those guys crap, that was our way of showing love, but I had to find a different way with this group. And I feel like being hard on those guys was kind of my way of being a leader this year, and just I don't know, being more of a stoic kind of get to work guy, but not that they don't work hard, but
right.
Yeah.
No, for sure. And, I think the other thing kind of coming off this, we hear all the time offensive linemen, and you see it, they so often make the best coordinators, the best coaches, of course quarterbacks, but the mental aspect of playing on the offensive line, let alone bouncing around like you have. But explain, because if someone out there maybe isn't overly football versed, they'll say, these are just the big guys up front blocking. But you have to be able, it's the only position outside of the quarterback that you got to diagnose everything out of that defense.
Yeah.
Take us through the mental aspect of playing on the offensive line, especially having bounced around, as well throughout your career?
Just kind of, bouncing around from sophomore year, being a guard and being a tackle. This is something I've done my whole life, like being as big as I am, like, and just like embodying that is kind of the first step of that. Just learning, but also, I mean, this is a tough question.
I know. Sorry.
I don't know.
You know what? I think that actually puts it perfectly, because there is so much to have to. It should, like, essentially the setup to the question was kind of the answer. You have to be able to diagnose everything all the time, let alone bouncing into kind of different roles of that as well. You're one of the players that you do have a couple of college offers and stuff on the table. Kind of take us through kind of some of those offers and as of right now, where you're kind of looking at or hoping to be able to play at the next level, and your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so I mean, right now I'm kind of like in the middle, visiting places over the weekends. I've had some great opportunities and looking forward to more of it. I have offers from Madonna, Mount Union, Hope, Calvin, and Adrian. Hoping to get more like evaluation through coaches and stuff, but I'd say I'm more like in the middle. But it's been so fun, just going and seeing the different cultures of different teams on game day, like, and just I can't wait to go more places and just see an experience. Like this is a once in a lifetime opportunity for me, and I'm just trying to soak it all in.
Yeah, for sure, and it's so cool too, especially like you look at the Division III level. The level of programs that the in-state ones have turned into. I mean, Calvin right away, they're beating people 80-0.
Yeah.
Hope College has become a top 10 maybe by the end of the year type program. Adrian is year over year. I mean, the facilities at Adrian are beyond almost anything. I've done some games at their hockey rink too.
Yeah.
The top hockey, like the fact that they have what they do there is crazy. So it's a cool time for sure. I'm sure to be able to do that. We're talking before, you probably don't have an exact idea, but any kind of thoughts maybe on what you're looking to study or from that?
Still undecided, but I was thinking maybe more like criminal justice, law, business. I'm completely wide open, but looking to narrow it down. Maybe I could go to college and do some gen ed studies and decide from there, but
I mean, and then if you get a Northwood offer, then you just do business. They make the decision pretty simple for you there. I always hear that, like whenever a guy's like, I'm looking at Northwood, I want to go into business. Like, oh, good, that's good. You have one option there. All right, let's talk about Rockford a little bit, and then we'll get out of here for the day. Again, as we said earlier, no bulletin board material here, and maybe we can just lie the whole time about what we're looking at. But first off, the difference in the mindset coming into this game after having beat them last year in the playoffs.
Yeah.
How big of a factor is that for you guys to have that? I know you're always game by game confident, but they've been, again, Grandville hadn't beaten them since 2019. So to beat them last year in the playoffs, outplay them, quite honestly, the first time too, how big is that in terms of the confidence coming into this game that you guys now know, not just have belief you can beat them, you know you can beat them, you can physically win that game?
I think the culture that we've brought this year is the confidence that we have in each other. Just like those long days, winter workouts, waking up at 4:50 in the morning, just going and being with each other. Like that's the confidence we have, and that's like like I said, the culture that we've built is like unmatched. And it obviously beating them last year in the playoffs does give us a little bit of confidence. But what it's going to take is that again we have a great week of practice and just be as tightly knit as we can, because we're going to have guys that go down like Jaden did last week, but being together and not going against each other, that's what it's going to take to be a great team.
Yeah. So let's kind of look at this matchup, because it's a game that there's not a ton of secrets in a lot of ways between these two teams. I mean, again, Randy Vanderveen's been the defensive coordinator there for 30 plus years.
Yeah.
They have an offensive system that's been pretty much the same for really going back to when Kyle Short was there. They've run roughly the same stuff. So for you guys on offense, they're a team that they align a little bit differently than other people do. They do some things tactically differently than other teams do, against you guys. What are kind of some of the keys, without getting into the game plan, but some of the keys, and maybe, we'll see on Jaden's status as well, but when you play Rockford, what about their defense is so difficult for a T to move the ball on, and, what do you have to execute on?
That's a good question because...
Based on what you're allowed to actually tell me.
Yeah. Well, it's not really a secret. I mean, we run the power T, so we're going to run the ball 95% of the time and throw the ball 5.
Right.
So it's not a secret what we do. We're going to try to establish the run game, set the tone. Coach Stiegel's huge on that. But also on defense, it's also not a secret. We run cover 3, and we're going to dominate the fundamentals, and we're going to punch you in the mouth. That's like the dog mentality is that we're gonna do the little things better than you, and that's what's gonna make us be able to win.
Yeah, and I think I talked to Coach Stiegel on the field before the Cass Tech game, and of course there are some similarities in the way Rockford traditionally the last couple of years wants to do things out of a spread offense and what Cass Tech does. And the one thing he says, we gotta get to the quarterback.
Yeah.
Now the last couple of weeks you guys have gotten to the quarterback. Yeah. How important is that going to be? They have they go from a offensive line last year of like 5 seniors, all huge, young offensive line this year. How important do you think that's going to be to create pressure, to create havoc in this matchup?
I might be a little bit biased.
Right,
I'm a defensive lineman, but we have some dogs up front. Evan Wyman started last year, and he's a really good player. Grant Motzke, impact as soon as he stepped on the field, getting knocked back. Nolan Stelma, he may not be the biggest kid out there, but he can really move and he can really get to the quarterback. I have a lot of faith in him. I've seen him work so hard. Carter Kubzak, he little brother to Big Kubzak, and he is fast. He is strong. Seen great things, just all around. Great kids. And kids I want to be around, and teammates, just that, and that culture that we've brought into, and it kind of transferred from last year too, but just the on a mission, and this year the know the standard. We set the standard to be the best team in the OK Red, and that's just what we believe.
A huge chance this Friday to do it. Michigan Sports Radio, of course, will have the coverage. Our Rockford team will have that game. CT and myself will have the pregame coverage starting at 6 o'clock. And we'll be down there on the sideline getting to watch from a little bit different perspective. And I cannot wait to do it. Daniel, thank you for your time. Thanks for driving out here.
Yeah, of course.
Been a ton of fun. And, as always, go Dogs. And we wish the best to you and everyone else going ahead.
Thank you so much.
All right, we'll be right back here on Game Night and Dawgs Plus. This broadcast is presented by Farmers Insurance, Bennett Sinner Agency in Wyoming. For all auto, home, specialty, life, and commercial insurance needs, see what a Sinner can do for you. Call today at 616-980-4949 or visit at 2240 28th Street Southwest in Wyoming. Welcome back, Nate and Chandler. Thanks to Daniel for coming in yesterday, making the trip out here to Holland all the way for a great interview and great one to get us ready. Let's before we get into Rockford, let's take a look back here first to Grandville, Caledonia. 28-7, the final, but a win, 1,000-foot view, kind of pulling it out. A win that I think was more impressive than just what the score said. They pretty effectively kind of sat on the ball. Game was never really in doubt. The score, and especially if you're playing that head-to-head game of them versus Hudsonville and who beat who by more, I don't think the score indicates the control of the game that they had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's something we've kind of talked about for a couple weeks now, is that it's just another element that this team has that maybe some of the Bulldogs teams in the past haven't necessarily tried to factor that into their game plan as much. And I think it's very effective in the fact that they are able to control the game a little bit. They're not necessarily looking to get into those shootouts and the track meets going up and down the field. It's much more of a score when your offense is out there. Of course, they're still capitalizing on their opportunities, but then when you've got the game and you've got the couple score lead, it's sitting on the ball, it's controlling the clock, not making mistakes, and kind of shortening the game that way. And that's something we've seen a lot more out of this Grandville team this year than we maybe have in the last couple.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, of course, the story of the game, unfortunately, was Jaden Terry. If he missed the game first quarter, uh, play to the end zone is only fourth touch of the game or whatever, goes trying to dive in the end zone and gets caught up in a pile, awkwardly goes down. Looked like an apparent knee injury. Wind up seeing him, kind of banged up later with it. I think he was on crutches at one point in time on the sideline and so forth. Again, I think pretty much everyone at this point knows the injury. We can only just hope the severity or lack thereof is going to allow him to be back. I hope it's a magic act and he plays Friday. Mm-hmm. But we'll have to see long term how bad it was for Jay. The concern is, of course, Jaden's an absolute warrior. We've watched the kid for 4 years now, and I don't think I've watched him. I don't think he's missed 3 consecutive snaps. Mm-hmm. So that's where the concern comes when he is actually out. That's where you start to get a little bit concerned. Like I said, we don't have news still early in the week here on whatever, and don't want to dwell on it, of course. But what we are going to dwell on is what can things look like without him? Because we got a peek at it, mm-hmm. and you cannot. Jaden Terry is a guy that you can't even quite recreate him in the aggregate, but you can do something different that still works. And the mix of running backs they had, with DJ moving to his spot, with Braylon Haney getting more touches again, back-to-back weeks with 100 yards, Oren Kuyoka as more of that traditional speed fullback in this offense, you have a different kind of mix and a different kind of offense that I still think is going to be pretty lethal, especially for a team like we talked about that wants to grind it down a little bit. Mm-hmm. They're very, very well suited to do that.
Yeah, they are. I mean, that's one of the things that, of course, losing Jaden for any amount of time is going to hurt. But at the same time, even when Terry was healthy, we talked about the depth that they have at the running back position, and they've kind of been, finding that rotation. Of course, the 3 starters, but then also getting some guys back, some of the deeper, the 5th, 6th running backs that we'll talk about a little bit as well. But they've got the depth there, and so initially, the 3 guys that are going to be starting are likely seeing the majority of the time in his absence. You move DJ from fullback to that left running back position, and you can kind of showcase his running ability that Coach Steagles talked about going all the way back to the preseason, is that he's a tremendous athlete as well. And so now he gets to move over from the fullback position, and he can focus on him a little bit more as far as getting him some touches. And he's a guy that, maybe the speed is there as well, but he's just a bruiser of a runner as well. I mean, out in the open field, able to run guys over, has some really impressive runs, has scored a lot of touchdowns as well in the role he did have. And so I think you get him involved in the offense a little bit more. You get that speed fullback that we talked about, and Kuyok in there as well. That's been a big part of the T offense. There's different ways you can use the fullback. When Hardeman was at the fullback position, he was effective there, but you also can use Kuyok and his speed to hit some of those big plays on the trap. And then, of course, Braylon Haney as well, who's staying in the same spot, but got the ball a lot more in the later parts of the game last week, saw 20 touches. And so he was very effective as well, seeing a lot more carries.
By the way, I heard you say T offense. This is a digression. Big loss in the Power T crusade that I had.
Yeah.
I heard, so many of you may have heard Coach Steagles was on the 3-point, whatever it's called, podcast, whatever, and those guys just kept calling it the wrong thing. And Eric at one point, because Eric was telling the story how he started playing in the Delaware wing tee, and said that now we run a different kind of wing tee to that just because those guys just kept saying it wrong.
Yeah.
I'm hoping. So that's a big loss in the crusade if Coach Steagles is giving up the vernacular.
Okay.
We need to be precise with the vernacular.
Yeah. You're going to carry on the battle.
And again, the problem is that we're just running wing tee stuff this year.
Yeah.
So every time he comes out there in what is essentially a wing tee with the tight end there and the wing and whatever, it's like, all right, well, great.
Mm-hmm.
That's a digression. That doesn't matter, but that just sprung to mind. So, yeah. We're watching too for other guys that have been injured, that are getting back injured. Yeah. Gavin Love dressed for the first time. I know he's probably, he's within 5 days probably of practicing for the first time coming off his injury. You've got guys like Jeremiah Morales has been dinged up. You have Jordan Terry, who's going to be a 5th quarter guy. He was dinged up to start. Is this the time that if you decide that his speed is there and you're ready for it, can you start working him in at a more elevated role than you were expecting maybe? So there's a lot of things. And all I can tell here, if Randy Vanderveen's out watching this or whatever, for one, Randy running a spread this week. That's how they're going to overcome Jaden. It's going to be a spread or at least like a flex bony thing. When watching their plan actually was to like trip up. So yeah, keep that in mind, Mr. Van Der Veen. So you can't stack the box with 11 dudes, and
that's not what I would do.
You can't dive at knees and all the crap that you normally do. So that sort of stuff is out this week, Rockford. Okay. The Grandville defense. Let's talk about their side of the ball. Honestly, gave up one bad play the whole game that Aaron Collins reversed in the first quarter. They went down, they scored again. I think the team's shell-shocked at that point in time based on what happened on the first drive. And after that, I mean, I don't know if Caledonia got another first down until the fourth quarter. That was, and again, Caledonia's down a quarterback. They're trying to figure things out. They struggle to move the ball. We talked about that. They got 18 yards rushing against Hudsonville. But that's the best defensive performance of the year by Grandville, and that is even losing Terry, Wyatt Kalenda had the injury, even losing some of those guys. It's a big deal for how well they were able to play defensively and show what they can do. Great pressure up the middle, especially.
Yeah, big response from them. And as you mentioned, kind of going back to the first point, the only time the game really felt in question was right after that first drive, of course, the injury, and then that drive down the field pretty quickly. And yeah, Caledonia had just put up 6 points against Hudsonville the week before, and as we mentioned, without their star quarterback, so an offense that's still kind of trying to figure out what they were going to be, with the personnel that they had, and they go on this quick scoring drive, and you're kind of worried a little bit from the Bulldogs' defensive side of things, but they were able to respond quickly, halt the momentum, and a tremendous performance outside of that first drive. And what they were able to do, they really stopped the run game for the most part. Between the tackles especially, it was difficult for the Scots to get anything going. And then when they got to those third and longs, we're bringing heavy pressure quite often, bringing extra guys, especially linebackers, Haney, Naraki from that second level, and getting there, and they were getting home a bunch too. And then it was also due to the defensive line controlling the line of scrimmage, but especially when they were sending some pressure and some blitzes, were able to get home, get in the backfield, make things really difficult, able to get off the field a lot.
I mean, Daniel talked about it. I mean, Motzke's just been a animal in the middle of that defense, just swallowing everything up. And he had a couple times just made contact essentially at the mesh point with the quarterback and the tailback. So that's huge. And I think at the end of the day, same questions offense. How do things mix up and change a little bit on defense? I think the main guy that had to step up and we saw put into a different role is Brecken Mann moved to more of a corner, kind of that isolated corner. Ends with an interception that ices the game. Draws an unsportsmanlike penalty. And as we were joking on the broadcast, football coaches are hilarious because he was fighting there with Ben Geerdes. And, Caledonia brings Geerdes out there, they go 4 wide, and the first thing they do is stick him right on man, and then 3 plays later, Mag comes up with the interception. So 15-yard penalty plus an interception. I think Brecken won that one pretty in full at the end, so that's good. We know that Mans are willing to take over in the secondary and probably willing to talk it up a little bit while they're doing it. So certainly that was good to see, and that really is kind of what wraps up that game. There's not a ton to talk about outside of the big things, obviously, to talk about. But again, just solid class. That felt like Grandville 2018. Mm-hmm. They just smothered you, sat on the football, never gave you a chance to get in the game. That's a different form of Grandville than we've seen in the last couple of years that I think is going to be really, especially again, we don't know if Jaden is out for an extended period of time here. That's what you want to see, because that's a team that can win. That can really win games in the way you expect a T team normally to win them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think that's exactly it. And I think, for better or worse, that secondary's kind of been battling injuries all season long. And so they've kind of gotten some of the guys that were hurt the first couple weeks of the season back. And so it's going to be kind of continued mix and match there. But I think they've got the guys that they like out, and they showed it on Friday night, the final 3 quarters, that they can still play a really a good team defense, even against the Caledonia offense. I was struggling a little bit. But I think, it really all boils down to on both sides of the football, the way they've been playing. They're preparing to win a game this week, essentially. Is it on offense, you're executing your offense, not as many possessions, scoring, controlling the football. On defense, you're playing to stop a spread team like where Rockford / Hudsonville will be. And so I think you're kind of just seeing that going into the game plan every week a little bit, because that's exactly what it's going to be in these rivalry matchups in the OK Red, and then as you get into the playoffs as well. And so against the team in Caledonia, where the way they were able to execute on both sides and kind of play their style, definitely encouraging for them as they move into this week.
Yeah, for sure. That wraps up that. Let's quickly transition into a quick look at snooze2u.com and this week's Mapatology Outlook. Not a ton new to talk about, and it's hardly even worth talking about. Again, Hudsonville, Grandville going to match up now. Rockford, Jenison, Kentwood goes to the other district. It's how much is there worth looking at this point in time, just because it's going to change, and it changed so much towards the end of the year last year. The main thing, again, that fortunate, let's call it, playoff run that Hudsonville was able to go on last year, that, again, we were hoping, okay, maybe that's now the norm. I don't know if y'all look here on this region, too. Again, you're looking at, you can't really see it, but it's Catholic Central is over there, and Salina is over there, and Belleville. So that will be your state semi game. And then, of course, East Kentwood in all likelihood, or Howell. Grand Ledge the 1 seed, but probably East Kentwood or Howell waiting for you in the regional. So it's going to be tricky once you get to that playoff run. So that's very quick. We're going to spend more time going through maybe more divisions and stuff later. But for now, I just want to show everyone how difficult it is. And with that as well, we're going to take a real quick break right here. And when we come back, we're going to get into it. Let's preview Grandville versus Rockford, get our top 10 rankings, and get out of here.
This broadcast is presented by Farmers Insurance, Bennett Sinner Agency in Wyoming. For all auto, home, specialty, life, and commercial insurance needs, see what a Sinner can do for you. Call today at 616-980-4949 or visit at 2240 28th Street Southwest in Wyoming.
All right, welcome back. Let's get into it. Grandville versus Rockford. Excited to be there. First time we've been there in a long time. First time I think we've been able to watch a game since I think we were actually still wearing those shirts. You had to throw it. You like this shirt, by the way?
Yeah.
You like this one?
I do like that one. Yeah,
you like
I would
that
wear
one?
that one.
You would wear that one? Yeah, you would.
I did find the right shirt, by the way.
Oh, good. You did? Yeah.
Figured I'd update everyone.
Go back and watch the broadcast. Take a look at what shirt he's wearing, and I like these shirts. Listen, I like these shirts too. They're the most expensive, nicest shirts I've ever bought. The problem is the branding had to change, and some different MSR stuff came in, so we kind of changed the branding. So unfortunately, this MGN we don't really have anymore, even though I like that logo. We're now we are Game Night now, so that's just kind of the branding update. So technically not supposed to wear it, but and of course I'm not. The one thing about me, as you all can probably tell, is I'm not a branding and professionalism outlook freak.
Yeah.
So the one thing about me for sure is that's not something that I am.
Right.
So I do not, with an iron fist, rule that we wear black shirts tucked into black pants unquestionably. For football especially.
Yep. Yeah. No, I definitely didn't hear about wearing the wrong shirt and the wrong hat.
And the wrong hat. The hat was actually almost worse. Let's talk about Grandville Rockford, shall we? So the first thing we're kind of going to do here is I was kind of trying to think about this game in terms of the keys of the game. Since I didn't have to prepare. Oh, sorry, you didn't have to prepare challenge Rockford this week. That's all from your mind.
It is.
Always. There's no other planning that goes into that. So since you didn't have to prepare that this week, you decided to prepare three truths about Rockford, and Brent Cummings coached Rockford here in the last 5 years, and how they can potentially be beaten this year. So for the first point that you prepared for us, the one thing we know about Rockford is they are well coached and they win in all of the little things, and you have to match that every single time. How do you beat that? Well, of course, the dumb stuff or the simple stuff. Don't do the dumb stuff. Don't make those mistakes yourself. Don't turn the ball over, especially if it's a low possession game. Don't whatever. But the other interesting thing, Rockford's making mistakes this year. They threw the Salina game away, they would tell you, because of turnovers. They tried to throw the East Kentwood game away because of turnovers. The Muskegon game was kind of a mess that Muskegon really just threw it away more than they did. So play clean. We're going to get into this a little bit later on how you might be able to force turnovers, but you have to put the pressure on from them to make mistakes, because there's a chance they might make more mistakes than they have in past years. But most critically, you cannot turn the ball over. You cannot do stupid mistakes. You cannot give them stupid penalties and stupid free first downs.
Yep. Yeah, that plays both ways. As far as a lot of times we've seen the Bulldogs in the past, you get to this game and, regardless of record and how the teams have played, it comes down to it's a close game. It's a low scoring game typically, and not that many possessions separate them, and it comes down to some mistakes that we typically don't see out of the Bulldogs because they're in some pressure situations, and of course against a really well-coached Rockford team that's prepared and is well built to stop them pretty much as well as anyone in the state. And so avoiding some of those mistakes and playing the clean football, not having the interceptions, not having the fumbles on the exchanges, stuff like that, of course, is going to be huge, especially in this game. And then on the other side of things, putting the Rams in a position where they can commit those mistakes. And sometimes, Rockford can get rolling. Of course, they're well coached. They've got a ton of athletes and can make some big plays, and they kind of get rolling and steal some momentum, and they can blow the doors open pretty quick. But against this Rams team, if you can put them in situations in some third and longs, some fourth down situations, maybe make them make mistakes of their own where they're turning the football over, you can kind of flip the script pretty quickly.
Truth number 2, traditionally, I will say they have changed things a little bit. They're doing some more different, they always do different things in offense with Coach Vanderlaan. But on the offensive side of the ball, after doing some scouting and some scouting calls into Michigan sports radio broadcasters that do Rockford games the last 20 years today, talking about the game a little bit, we've determined it's going to be close. That's the main thing that the 20-minute phone call entails. We broke down a lot of things and decided that it's going to be a close game.
Okay,
so that's
got that figured out.
So traditionally, this is a team, and this year especially, they're kind of spreading out 4 wide a lot of times, spread run game, and then they can kill you deep strike with the pass game to guys that can stretch the field down the play, like Jack Sykebauer in particular. But they additionally are doing some I-form stuff, some wildcat stuff, and some power run game stuff that changes even what my point is. But I think the main point is, for one, Grandville has to clog the run game. They have to make them one-dimensional. Same thing we talked about with Cass Tech. Very similar. The other thing is they're a little bit younger on the offensive line this year than last year. And when I was watching back some of the East Kentwood film, especially on those longer developing plays, they're trying to hit Eichbauer and those guys deep down the field and take the top off. On those slower developing plays, the edges of that, their tackles are not quite what they were last year. And I think they're gettable. And what is one of the strengths of Grandville? Getting home. We've seen that the last couple weeks. I think, once again, pressuring the quarterback, that's such a basic thing, but I think week after week for Graham, the way this defense is built, being able to pressure the quarterback, especially because I think they're more gettable. I think Braden Daniels is gettable. I think he might be a little hobbled too, by the way. I think he had a little bit of an ankle stinger last week and was in and out of the game. They're doing wildcat stuff and this and that, whatever. So I think getting home on Daniels is going to be possible and going to be key to shut down that deep strike, kill you pass game that they're known for.
Definitely, I think. It's kind of what we talked about in some of the recap of the Caledonia game, where the Bulldogs did a really good job of controlling the line of scrimmage when it's just the 4 down linemen and rushing the passer with some of the guys that they have been able to control the run game in the early downs and then allow them to get in the third and longs where they can bring some pressure and send some extra guys, bring some blitz and get to the quarterback. And I think it's the same recipe there where, if they can limit the run game between the tackles out of that spread system, if that's the way the Rams choose to attack them, you can get into those downs where then you can really start to attack a little bit and get after them. They've got the guys to do so, and you can make some of those plays. And I think they're definitely have prepared for that and are pretty well built to try to do that. Last year, the Rams, had a really strong offensive line, and you remember what the Bulldogs were able to do kind of in the playoffs in that game. And after they lost some of the strength off that offensive line, I think that matchup is once again there that if they can wreak some havoc along the defensive line, they could make things really interesting.
Again, though, like I said, the X factor of the game of what I was seeing on tape and stuff today in my first prep for the games, this will be on the sideline, so I don't know what I'm prepping for.
Yeah.
I'm prepping for something, prepping for this show. Again, they were willing to go to a one tight end fullback to an I form with a single tight end. And again, I've heard some things about different wildcat formations, direct snapping to a Hearn. They've got Kobe Belcher, who's a little bit more of a power back as well that they're working into things. So again, we talk about what they traditionally do. They have some other tools to do it where if they can't pass pro, maybe they do lean on the run game, and maybe this game turns into 2019 where it's both teams get one possession a quarter, and that's all you get, which is very possible, or less. Last point here on things we know. Nobody, Coach Stiegel in that interview I heard him do earlier today, nobody stops the T as well as Randy Vanderveen
been there for 30, 40 years, and Rockford. Just traditionally, they are the one. Other guys have done it well as well, but this is the team that gets you. And again, they load the box a lot of times more than anyone. They do some different things formationally. They chop the crap out of you. I was going to use a different word. Just not nonstop, and they play on the edge. And sometimes we see it get called. Sometimes we don't. This game isn't at the TED, so maybe. But what it comes down to is, especially if Jaden's not in, I think this is going to have to be a classic. The offensive line is very good for Grandville. Mm-hmm. We know that. Hitting them for 3, all you need is 3.5 yards a carry. And if they can just hit them for 3.5 yards a carry for 4 quarters straight, they will wear them. You'll eventually punch Kuyok free. You'll break the pass game out. We'll talk about that in a second. But, it has to just be a grinding, consistent. Grandville has to take their will on the offensive side of the ball and just grind them down for 4 quarters, which I think they can do, but it's going to have to be a game of will on offense because this team tactically has the tricks up their sleeve to be able to stop your offense. We've seen it for years.
Yeah, I think that's exactly that base offense and just out of the tee, and might not see a ton of those big plays and those big gainers. That's just the nature of the way Rockford plays defense, and they don't get beat badly. I mean, they don't miss keys. They're well prepared for the tee. And some of the mistakes that you see from other teams where you got guys going for 60-yard touchdowns and big breaking in the middle of the defense where a guy misses a key and it's wide open. That typically doesn't happen against a Rockford team. And
I think I've seen one trap score in 10 years of this.
It's tough because they're well prepared, and you give them credit for that. What's amazing is that they stack the box, but they also don't typically get beat in the play-action game as well. I mean, that's typically the number one response to if they're stacking the box and stopping you. You can hit them with some of the play-action over the top. The Rams also usually stay home in that as well. So it's, I think, executing the offense in terms of what the standard is, it's going to be picking up 3-4 yards. The goal is those long drives that we've started to see from them in the second halves where, you're talking, double-digit plays and long drives, 8-minute drives, whatever it is. There's no set time. They can just keep moving the ball. You're likely going to have to convert on some 3rd and 4th downs at more than you typically do in games. And it's always a different test because we talked about the talent and the size that a team like Cass Tech had, and the way that the Bulldogs were able to kind of push them around and dominate the line of scrimmage offensively there. That even though Rockford maybe doesn't have some of that star power and even the size that teams like that have, it's just they're well prepared as a unit to play against the tee, and that's kind of what it takes. And so I think you're going to see that slugfest there once again.
This has been our most serious, actually good analysis. This is why people started watching us all those years ago before we started telling on ourselves for being idiots. Like we've turned this show into. This is actually what people used to tune in for. One last point on this game. I think we've kind of hit a lot of the big names and stuff. My X factor for the game is going to be the creativity of Grandville, and in particular, Jeffrey Fogelsonger is going to have to be big because what do they have in terms of flex bone, wing tee, double wing, all the different stuff that they can do and show different looks and get creative in the pass game. Again, I think they've shown formations, they've shown motions, they've shown this, they've shown that, but they haven't married anything together to really show the depth of what they can do. That's probably where you start to see it, but we've seen Jeffrey turn on the legs. He's getting healthier after he was kind of banged up to start the year. He's been it's one of those things where if the running back mix is different, the offense looks a little bit different. That pass game again, just Keegan Kroll, is he able to move back to tight end more for passing plays down the field? Josh Crater, we know the role he has as a slot. There's so many different things that you can actually. Randy Vanderveen has seen Grandville do a lot of things. He's seen T teams do a lot of things. I believe Grandville has some tricks up their sleeve that if Jeffrey can execute upon them at quarterback, I think could be fat, and other guys too within that, but especially that pass game creativity, I think Grandville's got some tricks up their sleeve that they're going to be able to create some explosives out of.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think it's absurd to say that a large part of why we're starting to see some of that is for an instance like this against the teams that can shut the tee down a little bit. It's those games where it's you're not able to break anything out of the tee, and maybe in the past there was less variance to the offense as far as what you're going to turn to, and I think you're seeing Coach Stiegel kind of slowly break some of that in. They've shown some stuff on tape, and I personally choose to believe that there's more. There's more out there, and I think
Or maybe they're just
Or
showing
maybe,
it to make them
actually,
think it's
that's
there.
probably it. You've seen everything there possibly is. I wouldn't prep for anything else.
Yeah, this is state media.
Yeah. On the off chance that there is more, I'd say this is the week you probably see it.
Yep.
They've probably been potentially setting stuff up that you think you see a tendency and maybe it's not there, and that's been intentional. That's a theory. That's a working theory.
It's working theory, yeah. All right, that's Grandville Rockford again. 6 o'clock, we're on the air with the Michigan Sports Radio wide pregame show. Friday night kickoff live. We'll be fieldside at Grandville. Brock Conkle has the coverage up top. Maybe we kidnap him or throw him out the back of the booth or something, and we just do the game. Who knows? We'll see. Maybe I just pull up Instagram Live and we just call the game from the sideline. You never know what we might do. We'll see. But that's what is coming up on this Friday, and it's, of course, a big one. Let's do this week's rankings, and then we'll get everybody out of here. I'll go first. You've gone first every other week.
We'll mix it up.
Yeah, I'll go first. We'll let yours. Mine's the one that gets clipped anyway because yeah. So, oops.
Where'd we go?
This is not a live production, but it's kind of a live production. There we go. I think yours is gonna be screwed up too. All right, we're gonna keep rolling. So here's my list. So, what I did, I was texting him this week. I'm like, how am I going to keep, I don't know if I can keep this going. I did it.
He did.
I did. Don't you ever doubt me, people. So, here's the deal. So, Grandville beat a team without Jaden Terry. So, essentially, we are frozen in time.
Okay,
because
that's locked in.
Because of the Jaden Terry injury, okay? And again, if it's over, then we can narrative shift when needed. But so Grandville sticks at 1 because they keep winning, and now Hilton's, we got it. So there's Grandville 1, Huntsville 2. They won again. Mona Shores, I really like them. They keep winning big. They're going to move up. Unity Christian kills the these two. I thought was pretty good. Move them up. Graham's Catholic Country keeps winning. Northview keeps winning. Lowell keeps winning. East Kentwood lost a game this past week to an OK Red opponent. We know how tough it is to win OK Red games. It was tight. They were close. They got stopped at the goal line like twice, so I didn't want to drop them completely out. Kennewood Hills keeps winning. Grayson Fellows is just throwing the ball for 400 yards all over the place. Muskegon has bounced back with back-to-back really big wins. They're looking really good. They move into the top 10.
Okay.
So that's my top 10. So, yeah.
I love it.
Yep, love it. All right, we'll go to you.
All right.
Yep, there we go.
Okay.
It's going to be just my face. All right. What do you got here?
All right. Well, I'm not going to claim this is perfect, but this is my maybe more serious top 10.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
No, I don't know. Just a.
That's a ridiculous accusation.
Yeah, I know. What am I doing?
To say I didn't take something on this show,
right,
100% serious, without question, is ridiculous, sir. Ridiculous.
All right. With that being said, I got East Kentwood at 10. I was a week early to bumping them up. Essentially, is what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
I kind of fell for it. I guess they kind of. I don't know if you know who they lost to, but we'll cover. They might be
an OK Red team.
Okay, they might be higher in my ranking. So I got EK 10. I've got Lowell 9. They also continue to win. West Catholic. For the most part, just on the whole, these are a lot of the same teams. They're kind of
just 21 to Hamilton.
They did give up 21 to Hamilton. That's probably not super encouraging, but they also won the game.
We can say
that. Still won the game. Looking at their schedule, they've got 3 to 4 winnable games. They should win in a row here, so I'm thinking they're going on a run here. Northview had a narrow win over Holland Christian.
They just keep winning.
They keep winning.
What can you do?
Yep. They've got a test against EGR this week. That could be a good game there.
Not to give it away, I think they lose that. Actually, I don't think we'll talk about that because I don't think we have it on MS. I don't know yet.
Okay.
I think they lose that game. I really like EGR. They're playing
good.
Sorry, I'm
you're good.
taking over your thing.
You're good. 6, I got Mona Shores. Kind of what you said. They keep winning as well, and kind of after starting in the top 2 or 3, I believe, are working their way back up. This is the shift. I didn't notice this team in your list, so I'm curious your thoughts. But I have Rockford at 5. I do believe they were the team that beat East Kentwood.
The Rams.
The Rams, like they're north of Grand Rapids a little ways.
North of Grand Rapids, okay.
Yeah.
Like Wolverine Worldwide, like that area.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a smaller school team.
Smaller school, yeah.
It's kind of not very well-known team.
Yeah,
but
kind of like cheap brick old stadium.
That's what it is. Yep.
Only have 4 different helmet jersey combinations for their team.
Yep. I remember them.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I've got them at 5.
It's pretty high, okay.
That's pretty high, just because that's where I had EK previously, and they
Okay.
just beat them.
Yep.
So that's kind of my third in the OK Red.
Oh, that they beat
team.
East Kentwood?
They did beat
Oh,
East
really?
Kentwood. Yep,
okay,
they did.
interesting. Okay.
Yep. So then 4, I got Unity. 3, Grand Rapids Catholic Central, and then the top 3 even stay in the same. Grandville 2, Hudsonville 1. Not a lot of movement up there, but
So 2 has a loss, 1 doesn't.
correct.
If 2 beats 5,
If 2 beats 5,
do you have to do you swap?
I think
You're not
that's when the discussion
Okay.
could come in.
What if 5 beats 2?
If 5 beats 2,
Not that that's going to happen.
yeah, then there might have to be some jockeying there. Yeah, I'm really.
You should have made it easy on yourself, like some of us have.
If 5 beats, what happens if the unranked team beats your number 1? That's
I mean, listen, upsets happen, man.
okay.
So like you can't, and again, especially if there's injuries, you can't
Right.
overreact. That's the main thing is you can't ever overreact. A lot of people like to do that in bad situations, and I'm not one to ever overreact.
Yeah.
That's the main thing to know about me.
Yeah.
I am at all times level-headed. Patient is something that people would describe me as above all else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got to see it through.
Yeah.
I respect that.
Yeah, for sure.
I look either way. Your next rankings are going to be good. They're going
They're going to be awesome.
They're going to be awesome. It's either going to be
You're welcome.
the greatest victory lap we've seen, or it's going to be quite the quite the explanation. I'm looking forward to hearing it.
So, this weekend, this Friday, I don't know what the date is. It's week 5. Is it still September? Yeah,
It will
it's still
be September,
Yeah,
yes.
it is still. It's not October. I have an event. We're not doing a game. We're not doing the Jensen game, by the way. I'll be gone. So that's to jump ahead. I think the event's going on. It's a racing thing, and it's been fun. I'm supposed to get a car list tomorrow.
Okay.
So we'll see if it happens. So here's what we're doing. 6 o'clock, MichiganSportsRadio.com, Michigan Sports Radio app. He and I will be field side, concourse side, whatever you call it, at Grandville, Michigan Sports Radio, Friday night, kickoff live. Way too long of a name. Should have cut that down. But that's the name of the show. It's game day type style show. We might have some interviews and stuff, but mostly we're previewing and picking every game on Michigan Sports Radio. When I say every game, I mean I was just taking notes on Newaygo versus Tri-County.
Okay.
So, I mean every game. We're going to talk about man. So, we're previewing it all and picking this game last. Is there a Bulldog mascot head? I mean, I know there's a mascot.
There should be,
Is there a walk around, one with a head?
Yeah.
We're show planning here.
Okay.
So that's what we're going to do. Brock Conkle, MSR team, they'll have video coverage they're sitting at our spot in the booth. So they'll have video coverage then. If you can't make it to the game, 6:40, they'll have the coverage. And, like you said, Glenn and Matthew will be prowling the sidelines. Or again, I don't think we're going to be as involved in the action as what McConaughey is. I feel like he's calling the defense sometimes for Sark, but
you're telling me if it's a good game, late situation, you're not going to be right on the sideline.
Okay, so if Grandville's up 20, I'm going to ask to call some plays. Can I call
I'm thinking if the game's in hand, I'm picturing you you're on the Rockford side of things, just jeering the crowd.
Here's the problem. This is a long story. I'm not going to fully tell. The MHSAA does frown upon people that are on the sidelines with MHSAA badges. There are some stories I've heard of media people stealing signs and stuff. We're not going to do that because you do get in trouble for that.
Makes sense.
So keep that in mind. Don't do that, please, because I'm going to have to answer a phone call that I don't want to take.
I wasn't planning on it.
Good. So that's what we're doing on Friday. Do you have any last thoughts, or are you ready to let the people go, and are you ready to go? You got a flag football game. He hasn't hurt himself yet. That's good.
Not yet. Still alive.
Still alive. Still old, but still alive. Yeah. Any thoughts?
No, looking forward to it. It's exciting to be at least at the game. to see the Rockford Grandville. I mean, we've done some in studio
Yeah, we did that.
whip around show
Yeah.
on the Grandville Rockford. We did what else did we do? We've covered other games.
Are you staying for the game? Or are you gonna be?
I'm planning.
Are you
Yeah.
gonna be whisked away?
No, I'll be watching the game. I would like to watch the events that take place. So, but yeah, no, if it's something we've at least wanted to be involved with the game to some degree, and
You're just staying serious.
yeah, I just have to. Looking forward to it.
Thanks to Daniel. Awesome interview. Great to see him. Great to welcome him in. Yeah. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see everyone at 6 o'clock for the pregame show. Brock then at 6:40, and let's see, we should do like a bootleg audio, just from the side. We just call it, and people can sync it up or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Goodbye.